Another test here. So I finished, I gave this board a couple of coats of paint and some sand and a bit of clear coat lacquer just to see how it would come up. It's not too bad. Now I'm going to try clean out these holes. So I've centered the machine back to the center of this dot again, this bolt. So everything should work. I did adjust the program for these ones. So luckily I remembered this is a 40mm gap, this is about a 35mm gap. So I've gone back to the 40mm gap on a previous bit of code that I wrote, and we'll see what happens. So. This one here is going over the pearl dot. Just cleared the dust out of the way. Seems to have milled some very nice tidy holes there. Got rid of all the excess paint and filler that I used. Could probably run it again just to finish tidy up the holes. We might do that. But yeah, this process might work. I could then glue the dots in and mill the top of the dots. I did have an issue with that because I milled too deep initially on this one. But I should be able to zero the machine to the surface of the table, and then lift it up 0.1 or 0.2 of a millimetre, and then zero it again to that extra bit of lift, and then start it and see how we go, and then work my way down. But yeah, apart from that, it seems to be working. And of course I can mill out the fret lines again. That shouldn't be an issue. Given the fretboard another coat of paint and another sandback, and then I thought I'd try something else. I thought I'd try some stain. So this is the oak fretboard with a couple of coats of Black Japan. So that's that one. It's looking pretty dark, and this one here is the rosewood. So it looks pretty good. From a distance it virtually looks black. I might give it a few more coats of stain just to see how we go. And I've also put some of it on one of the pearl dots that I've got currently sitting on the CNC machine. So we'll go have a look at that one. This one here, I glued the fret dots in last night, and I'm going to mill just the surface back to about here, just to see what happens to those fret dots. See if I can glue them in before doing the final finish. Now also I just want to see what happens with this stain and the dots. Okay, so it does wipe off. Just using a bit of methylated spirits. Obviously that dot's either cracked. Yeah, I'll CNC mill this and we'll see what the surface of the dots looks like. I might have pushed that one in a bit too deep, this first one here. We'll just see how the surface looks, and then give it maybe a small coat of the Black Japan stain and see how the dots clean up. So seems to have done the trick. So I might combine this technique with using the staining. I think the stain seems to affect the pearl dots any. I'll just wipe it off with a bit of metho. I'd say this was a successful test. This is the finish straight off the mill. So I might just hit it with a bit of 1200 grit sandpaper. You can just see the lines through the pearl there. We'll hit it with some 1200 grit, and then I'll maybe put one of my green dots here on one of those, and then we'll put some stain on. We'll just see if it makes a difference and see how they clean up. Okay, so just one quick coat of stain. It's interesting just on the end here where the machine changes direction. It's happened at both ends. I can get it in focus. It sort of gets, I guess it gets the wobbles up. It's quite a large carriage. It's got to change direction all of a sudden, and there's a slight bit of movement in it. I think what I'll do to get rid of that is I'll make the surface, well, I'll make what it thinks is the surface. It looks like about 6 or 7 millimeters longer. So it'll actually run past the end in thin air and then come back on. So when it changes direction, it won't actually be touching the surface. And then by the time it comes back onto the wood, it should actually be settled down nice and smooth again. So we'll do that one on the final fretboard. But this has been a good little test.